mutilation, we see that this is a practice that is cultural and has been practiced for many, many decades. But Kenya has made strides in terms of bringing down the statistics. But some of our communities are still holding on to the practice. Through the Kenya bilateral program, we've been able to bring on board more champions to champion against the cause. Because we know that FGM happens at community level, it happens at household level. So who are the right people to really be able to champion against it? It's community members and stakeholders at community level. So what has happened is that in Samburu and Bungoma counties, through the Kenya bilateral, Finland bilateral program, we've been able to train more than 1,000 counselors, more than 1,000 people who are now champions against FGM from across the counties. So what we are going to do as the government of Kenya is to, continue supporting the champions and having more champions within the communities, from elders to morans to survivors of FGM to our police officers, our gender desk police officers who have been trained, our health practitioners like the community health volunteers who are very critical in this work. And these are the people on the ground. So they are the foot soldiers who will really help us in pushing this agenda forward. When we look at our statistics, women between the age of 15 to 49, according to the Kenya Demographic Health Survey 2022, 15% of those women have gone between 15 to 19, we are at 9%. But within some of these counties like Samburu, Bungoma, Wajir, Mandera, Marsabit, the statistics are still very high because Samburu is at 75.5%, which is one of the focus counties we've been looking into. And we are hoping that with having the voices of the men in this conversation, then we will have the statistics go down. So this program for the last 3 years has really, really impacted positively in the campaign to eliminate FGM, both in Bungoma and Samburu counties.
Okay, most of the people strive to say that we should embrace our culture. And as per the saying that Wachamila and Mtuma, maybe what's your rally call to the rest of people?
Yeah, what I can say is that culture evolves and it will always change. Like now we have another culture. The young generation have their own culture. So we cannot say that Mwachamila ni mtumwa because yes, it is there, but we have to focus on the positive culture and go against the negative culture. FGM is the worst form of gender-based violence meted on women and girls. And what happens is that you are made to feel like in your community, if you're not cut, then you don't belong. And that is what is really making it hard for the women who have gone through female genital mutilation and even for the communities to really stop it. Because we found FGM going on, we as a community just continued with it. But there's no problem of us sitting down and really looking at our culture and saying, what are the good and what are the bad? So for us, where we sit as women leaders, FGM, and even the world international, FGM is against, human rights. It's a human rights violation. Number one, we are human beings before we even become cultural people. So let's first come from the human rights perspective, where we feel that FGM is really, really not the right thing for women and girls. It has very, very lifelong negative effects, which are both psychological, mental, physical, name it. It's not something that we would want to continue with. And so as I sit, I encourage, especially women who have gone through FGM themselves, survivors, to be the voices that will end this once and for all. But at the same time, I urge our elders and our community leaders, especially the old people, the older generation, to really come out and say no to FGM. I also encourage men to be the ones who really come out and say FGM should not continue in our communities.
Treated on 11th of January.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, it was, yeah, and I can tell you that they have hit the ground running, they have begun. There's so much work that has to be done, a lot of, I would call it desktop kind of work that has to be done first, so that they can now start going to the crowd and collect information. And I can tell you they have already made a call for memorandum so that people can bring in written ones. And after that, they will go to the crowd and get to understand exactly why we have issues, exactly why we have a rise in these cases. So much is going on as we speak. And very soon we're going to hear that they are on the crowd doing the actual work. Various cases. And this is because sometimes it becomes very difficult for survivors to move from one place to the other. For example, you'll find a survivor is being told, now you go to the police station, get a certain document, come to the hospital, do ABC. But if we could sort of create a one-stop shop of a kind to offer services, it would be great. Also remember that most people fear police stations, but the police stations are good, but people fear for certain reasons. And therefore, a hospital would appear more, more appealing, more hospitable. But let me say that we received a lot of support from the police, so that is not an issue that we can even debate on. We have received a lot of support, and it's for that reason that we have seen some cases or some forms of digital violence going down.
So, Madam PS, the other day the president constituted a task force to review